might not like seeing this, but with Odell off the field, Baker Mayfield has a better QBR, higher completion percentage, and better touchdown interception ratio. And this dates back to 2019, which is the year Odell joined the team. I'd like to welcome in NFL insider Dan Graziano and analyst Rob Ninkovich. Graz, Odell has been cleared to play, but what level of play do you think he returns to?
Well, I'm sorry. Nick, I thought you said Rob. I thought you said Rob. You said Graz. I apologize.
Graz, yes. Graz is in Graziano. Excuse me.
I thought the Browns think he'll be good, Max. I'm sorry. The Browns think he'll do well. He's a guy that they think can be a serious downfield threat for them in a way that the people that they had last year, as good as they might have been, weren't. They didn't really push the ball downfield because they didn't have Odell Beckham. They didn't have Anthony Schwartz, who's the rookie they drafted, who's looked good early. So they have a role in mind for him. In terms of how effective he can be, I asked people that when I was at their training camp, which is more than a month ago. They were very excited by what he was showing on the field in practice at that time. He has had plenty of time since then to be ready. Obviously, they've been very careful with him. They want to bring him back when he can contribute in a big way, and they feel like that this is the time.
Nick, I mean, like, you see the graphic, but then again, like, Baker was no good till he got a coach. He had 4 head coaches in 2 seasons and a game. None of them were any good. They're not unemployable in the NFL right now. Then he got a good head coach. He balled out. Odell hasn't been there for the Stefanski years. What does his return mean for Baker and the Browns now?
It helps, and it helps because the more pieces that you can have offensively that a defense has to prepare for, that's time. And when you're during the week, when you're preparing on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, usually Wednesday is early down, Thursdays usually second, third down, and Friday is like a red zone area. When you have Odell on the field, you have to account for him. You have to figure out, okay, are we going to double him? Not having Landry, that hurts as well because you usually have 2 of those guys on the field at the same time. The defense has to make a decision. Where do we put a lot of our effort and attention to? So with Odell on the field, it opens up more options for the quarterback. So if Baker's able to now have another option to throw to, the defense has to figure out, okay, who are we doubling? Where are we putting our attention? With Odell, obviously, he's a great football player. That's going to be something to watch.
Dan Graziano. On the other side, Fields makes his first start, right? What's the chatter around the league in terms of his expectations?
I think people are very excited to see Justin Fields and what he can do. This was the case when he played in the preseason. It was the case when he showed up for a play or 2 in the opener. I think the expectation is that Matt Nagy and the Bears coaching staff will have plays in there that weren't in there last week that are designed for Justin Fields and not for Andy Dalton. I think they'll take it, a little bit slow. I don't think they'll just throw the entire Justin Fields experience at you in week 1. It doesn't sound like something that this coaching staff that has so far been conservative with the rookie is planning to do. But I do think you'll see designed runs, and I think you'll see some things that show off what makes Fields such an exciting prospect and give you some taste of why the Bears traded up to get him.
Yeah, I mean, like last year you saw Trubisky with the mobility behind the bad offensive line, but he couldn't throw it down the field. Foles can throw it down the field, but he's immobile behind that line, no good. Fields can do both. It's going to be fun to see what they let him do and what he's capable of doing in his first start. Week 3 promises excitement. And technically it actually got underway last night. Panthers-Texans. Look, Christian McCaffrey is an all-world back. In fact, when he's been healthy, he's easily been the best back in the NFL, running the ball, catching the ball. He's just a weapon, but we see it time and again. It's a mistake to pay the running back. I mean, it's not fair to the running back, but it's a mistake to pay them. Let's be honest, like Gurley, Zeke, tell me when it works out. McCaffrey, it's a brutal position. But meantime, I think you need to have, while you prudence with the running back, patience with quarterbacks like Sam Darnold. I gave up on him with the Jets, right? But you see him in a better situation, in a more competent organization, behind a better offensive line with a complementary defense. Yeah, he could have turned the ball over a couple times. He got stripped a couple times. They got it back a little lucky, but boy, he was running around, throwing darts, had a good game, and they are 3-0, partly because of the good play of their quarterback. Nink, Graz, McCaffrey is out a few weeks. Is he expected to come back 100%? Graz, is he expected to come back 100%?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not going to bring him back unless he's 100% because, look, this is the third time he's gotten hurt in the last couple of years, and obviously they don't want that cycle to continue. So let's keep an eye on what they do. If they don't put him on injured reserve, then that means their doctors are telling him he could be back before 3 weeks. IR means you have to miss 3. So if they do put him on IR, that probably tells you that they obviously they expect it to be longer, and they want to be very careful with it because this is a hamstring issue. You bring him back too soon, he could hurt it worse. So Carolina will be careful. Obviously, they're excited to be 3-0. Obviously, they know they need him, but they will keep the big picture in mind and make sure they don't bring him back so soon that he puts him at risk of an even more serious injury.
Nick, McCaffrey is an all-world back, and J.C. Horn, who was also injured last night, was thought by some, let's be honest, to be the best corner in the draft. There was a debate about who the best corner in this draft was, and he's hurt too. Let's look at their schedule, though, for a second. Take a look at this schedule, okay? We're going to look at the schedule. There it is. Will their absence even make much of a difference? At Cowboys, winnable game. Eagles, winnable game. Vikings, at Giants, at Falcons. It's a cupcake schedule by NFL standards, Nick.
I say October 3rd, October 10th, those 2 games will be tough without having those 2 players. You know, the thing about hamstring injuries that is a little worrisome and scary is you don't really have a timetable because you can feel good at 75, 85%. But it's when you get to 100%. It's when you're going flat out 100 miles an hour when you're like, man, I feel this thing. So
when is any NFL player 100% at any part?
Never. But in the running back position, I would say you need to have that extra gear. And everything that he does, McCaffrey out of the backfield, is all speed. And they do a lot of out of the backfield, get the ball in his hands quickly, and defenses have to account for 22. When you go into the game plan playing them, you say, anytime 22's on the field, we got to make sure we have them.
And yet, even all-world backs like McCaffrey, maybe McCaffrey does, but usually they don't move the line, but quarterbacks do. What did you see from Sam Darnold yesterday, Gross?
Well, I mean, you see a comfortable player. I mean, talking to some of the coaches on that staff before the season started, they were excited, cautiously excited, but excited about the idea of Darnold feeling comfortable in what they were doing and what they thought he would be able to accomplish in their system with that comfort level. Obviously, they've worked with him on mechanics and footwork and things like that, but the key stuff, the decision-making, the confidence, comes with that feeling of he has a handle on what the offense wants to do, what it wants from him. And I think you're seeing a guy that feels very, very good about what's being communicated to him in terms of expectations and his ability to deliver on it. So, I mean, he's a talented player, still very young, and I think there's an expectation in Carolina that he may be building on something here into a very strong season.
We'll see if the Panthers can keep pace with the Bucs with that cupcake schedule. In the NFC South, guys, please stick around.